In the rivers, lakes and bayous of the American South live creatures that have been here since the dawn of time. Prehistoric-looking aquatic monsters that remain steeped in mystery. A giant fish, the alligator gar, has been measured at 8.5 feet, but lengths of 10 feet or 3 meters have been reported. Just how big do they get, and are accounts of them attacking people true?
Monsters, major predators in this water, and a lot of people don't even know they're even gar that big in these waters. You tell them, they don't want to ski here anymore.
You've heard of fishermen going out fishing, you know, and not coming back, not finding a body, you know, just poof, disappear.
Wow, that is a fish.
As a biologist, I travel the world through some of the toughest terrain, researching animals to better understand their behavior. Now, I'm on a mission to find the biggest and baddest creatures on the planet.
I'm Niall McCann, and I'm here in Louisiana searching for prehistoric monsters of the swamp.
You don't need to look far to find formidable monsters in the Louisiana swamps. Alligators are everywhere. But less-known giants, ancient fish and turtles, are also here, unchanged for over 50 million years. Since the 1930s, logging and construction of levees have reduced Louisiana's wetlands by more than 4,900 square kilometers, nearly half the size of Northern Ireland. Yet amazingly today, this prehistoric forest still guards secrets.
So many of our myths of dangerous or scary animals are based around species that reside in swamps, either mythological species or real species. And a lot of the animals left here today are the types of animals that would have formed a lot of those myths that we hear about. And here in the USA, the Native American peoples told stories of strange prehistoric-looking creatures, stories that the white settlers found to be true. So I've come here to Louisiana, and with the help of local experts, I hope to find what is perhaps the most charismatic of all of these monsters of the swamp, an 8 to 10 foot giant, the alligator gar.
And images of the monster fish, the alligator gar, flood the internet, as does speculation that they might just eat people. I want to separate fact from fiction. My search begins in the northern part of the state, where tributaries of the massive Mississippi River feed the bayous and wetlands of this area, providing a rich habitat for fish and other aquatic creatures. Also, favorite fishing grounds of local families who have depended upon this resource for centuries.
In fact, I'm meeting one guy who holds the state record for the largest alligator gar ever caught. Because that's pretty much my only way of catching these things. All of the people that live here in Louisiana, barely anyone knows that out there in the swamps live these prehistoric beasts, these alligator gar that reach enormous sizes. So the only way for me to get a big gar is to team up with the best fisherman in the whole state.
That means state champ Brad Doughty and his fishing buddy Sherman Foote.
You coming with us? Don't think you're allowed, little man. Right, where are we off? Where are we headed?
We're going to go down into the Washita River. We're going to go down about 2 miles. Been seeing a lot of big gator gar there roll, so we're going to go down there and see what we can do.
Great, let's roll.
The bayous here really remind me of some of the jungles that I've lived in, like Honduras and the Amazon. It's amazing to find this ancient landscape here in America. We've just started out when we come across an alien-looking life form.
And do you know what this is? Are they eggs or what are they?
No, it's not eggs. That is actually an organism, kind of like, similar to like a coral, or but it's a jelly substance that it just keeps growing and growing.
It's massively parasitizing. This is huge ones down here. Okay. The size of that. It's ridiculous. I've never seen anything like this. What on earth is that? It's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. It's just falling apart, look at that. What a crazy, crazy substance. Absolutely covered in some kind of slime. There's tiny little nuclei here, so it's probably a combination of organisms which all come together, each of these being a single cell. That's really bizarre. I've never seen anything like this. It's common around here?
Yes, you can find them this time of year pretty much everywhere.
Further research reveals these to be bryozoans, which literally means mossy animals.
It's so bizarre.
This is a unique colony of tiny creatures. They're related to jellyfish and primitive invertebrates.
Big one down here.
They're green because of the algae that grows around them, and it's this relationship which gives them their name. Finding life forms 500 million years old makes me wonder what other prehistoric creatures might be living in these waters. For now, I have my sights set on a giant alligator gar.
When they hunt, is it normally right at the bottom, or they come up to the surface to hunt?
They mostly go in the shallows,
Yeah.
right up to. They try to get them as shallow as they can. That way they got control over them a little better.
They're the apex predator.
Apex, anything they can grab a hold of, they'll eat.
Given their size, it's no surprise when Sherman tells me he's seen a gar attacking and eating a raccoon that was crossing a river. Brad is leading the way to a spot where a massive alligator gar has been sighted over the years.
She's way over 200 pounds. She could be a possible record if we can get her. She's really big. She looks about 8.5 to 9 foot long, and anything that size could be 300 or better.
Top line float.
Sherman is a commercial fisherman and licensed to lay out nets here to capture alligator gar and other fish.
Go backwards, and we just got to make sure that it goes out without tangling like this. Shouldn't mean nothing to it.
And this is where you said that huge female is?
Yes, it was right over here. Had one time, it rolled, so I was gonna try to catch it. So I went and got the nets, brought her in here. Well, when I brought the net in with this boat, she moved out. And she would go out here and she'd flop, she was mad.
So she's splashing her tail on the surface?
Splashing her tail on the surface. She moved out here. Went over there to try to put the net out. Well, then she disappeared on me. So I said, well, I'm gonna come down here on my jet ski. It's a different boat, different sound.
A little quieter.
Little quieter. So I got my feet hanging in the water and wasn't there probably 15 minutes. Well, she rolls right behind the jet ski, just comes up and gets her breath of air and just goes right underneath the jet ski and where my feet was hanging in the water.
But you pulled them out pretty quick.
I got on top of that jet ski right then because she was massive. She was this wide and she was probably less than 10 feet from me.
Wow. And that was just a warning, I suppose.
Yes.
Here I am.
Here I am. I know what you're doing,
Recognize
old buddy.
you.
I know you. You're not supposed to be here.
Wow.
Since the 1800s, there have been numerous stories of alligator gar attacking people, most recently involving a young girl on Lake Pontchartrain near New Orleans.
What I've heard, this young girl was on the dock dangling her feet in the water. Something just grabbed a hold of her foot and she was kicking and screaming, and she said she felt the fish jerking several times. She really didn't know what it was. And then when she come on the bank, there was these pencil-like gouges all in her heel and down her feet. And, her parents had taken her to the doctor and they're like, no, this isn't what an alligator would do. We don't know what it was. And what they figure when they got to talking with biologists and everything, that it had to be an alligator gar with the shape of the teeth marks through the feet.
Over the next hour, we'll set the net and bait jug lines to try and capture, measure and release one of the big gar. But coming up, I get a surprise, face to face with one of America's deadliest snakes. I'm searching the waterways of Louisiana for a 50 million year old heavily armored fish with near impenetrable scales.
These are very sharp. A lot of people think they're Native American arrowheads from the Indians. And, I tell them, no, this is a scale. This is their defense. This is why alligators and the alligator gar and the alligator snappers are the predators. Nothing penetrates this scale. I mean, you can with an arrow from a bow fishing bow, but anything else, not a chance. It's like a rock.
Adapted for partial air breathing, no one really knows just how big they get. This photograph from the 1950s shows an amazing specimen said to be nearly 13 feet long.
So we've got one of the most legendary fish on Earth living here exclusively in the southern United States, the alligator gar. It's legendary for lots of reasons. Obviously its appearance is just utterly insane. It looks like a cross between a prehistoric reptile and a fish. And they have these amazing mouths, these incredible amounts of teeth, and rumours, of course, of attacking people. Whether or not they're true, who am I to say at the moment? And what we're trying to do here is catch ourselves one of the gar using a huge net, 600 feet long. So we know it's here, we've heard it. As soon as we moved in, we could hear it splashing away at the surface, which is a sign that it's agitated. And the net's a great way to catch them. We've probably got only a few feet left. We're getting pretty close, so head into the shore. Run in. Perfect. Perfect. Great, so we're spread out right the way from here on this side of the swamp all the way to the other, blocking off that entire mouth. So anything passing between should hit our nets. Here's hoping.
While we wait for the gar to come around, Sherman shows me another favourite fishing spot.
Once we get in here, it's probably how the river looked, 200, 300 years ago back.
It used to be.
Yeah, when the Indians basically here, yeah.
Oh, this is stunning through here. This is what you think of when you think of the bayous. It's this kind of view here, fantastic. Wow. All these cypress roots. Good place for cottonmouth snakes, that's for sure. Some tracks going up there as well. Oh, it's pigs. Hogs been coming down here. Wow. Alligator gar are notoriously difficult to find. They're incredibly sensitive to intrusion in their environment. And if you come putting around in an outboard motor for a while, they're going to move away. So in order to actually try and find these gar, you have to be stealthy. You have to stake them out, find out what their patterns are, find out what their movements are, where they're staying, where they're feeding, and only then can you move in and actually attempt to corral some. So the fish will just sink down?
Yeah, they'll sink down, gar come along and grab one, hopefully. I'll just sit back and wait. But we need to go put some more of these out.
Yeah, fantastic. You have to use the wire because they'll just rip straight through string, will they?
Yeah, they'll cut string easy, and they can cut cable. They'll get it in their teeth and just keep gnawing on it. But the baling wire, like this, is just a regular wire. They really can't get a grip on it, so they're not able to get their teeth in it.
Have you ever found that in one's stomach?
No. Usually we catch them. So,
yeah. That's the idea.
Yeah, matter of fact, they have they say it was a gar gutologist. He studies the insides of what they find that gar eat.
Gar gutologist.
Yeah, that's a good category, isn't it? But they have found stainless steel leaders. They found meters off diesel trucks, chunks of log, grass, rocks, small ducks.
So they're just a trash can. They'll eat anything. Anything that moves.
After a few hours, we head back and check the nets on the main river. But no alligator gar. Then, one of the jugs appears to be moving.
That little tingle of excitement as you approach it. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? There we go. It's a catfish. It's a big catfish. It's an impressive looking beast, but it's not a giant alligator gar. Stick this guy back, carry on our hunt for a monster gar. There you go, little man. And straight down to the bottom where he belongs.
Things turn wet as we head back to camp. We'll return later tonight to check the baited lines. I decide to investigate a few of the local stories about giant alligator gar.
You've been fishing in the bayous of Louisiana for your whole life. What is it about the alligator gar that so terrifies you?
Oh yes, it scares me to death. I mean, I've been on the river, Washita River, since I was knee-high to a bush. I started taking up slack skiing when I was 8 and have been out there forever and had heard stories, you know, but I'm just going, oh, it's just a myth, you know, it's just not real, not true, because I wanted to ski so bad. Well, you know, I'm skiing behind a boat one day and I look up and I see another wake, and it's not the boat and it's not my ski. And I look down, I see something just long, you know, silver, and I knew it was a fish because I could see the dorsal fin. And I just said to the bank, and I hadn't skied since. They're eating something, and they're out there a long, long time, you know. To be able to be that big, you know, it's almost like prehistoric, and they are survivors for sure.
This wouldn't be the last fantastic tale I heard about alligator gar. Just down the road at the local tavern, I meet Jerry, who presents me with a formidable bent hook. He says was in the mouth of a massive alligator gar.
It was almost 8 foot long, which we were really impressed with
That
that
is
because
huge.
we had never, in a freshwater lake, we'd never seen nothing that big as far as a fish. Alligators, yes.
So do you think any of the stories attributed to alligator killing pets could actually be alligator gar?
Oh yes, there's no doubt.
Spurred on by these stories, I head back for some night fishing and get an unexpected surprise.
We've just come across a snake I have never seen and I've always wanted to see. It's a copperhead. It is absolutely beautiful. Look at that thing. Fantastic, now it knows I'm here. So this is one of the America's most famous snakes, named obviously because of the beautiful copper colour on the back of its head. And it's a pit viper, so it's got heat-seeking pits just in front of its eyes, which it uses to hunt. Bit of a visual predator as well. And it has pretty serious venom. You wouldn't want to get bitten by it, that's for sure.
The copperhead is responsible for the largest number of snake bites in America each year, with thousands of injuries to people and pets. While not usually fatal, these bites can be very serious.
So, I won't hold it for very long, because I don't want to stress it out too much. There is a copperhead. Just an absolutely beautiful animal. Wonderful. One of America's most famous venomous snakes. One of the world's most famous venomous snakes. Partially because it's got a fabulous name. Partially because it's absolutely beautiful. And of course, principally, because it is very, very venomous. What a wonderful animal. Excellent. Right, I'll let it go. You guys all ready? 3, 2, 1. And off it goes.
Camouflage into the
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, look at the camouflage. Just incredible.
Next, we check our baited lines and find ourselves face to face with a prehistoric giant. We're night fishing for a monster gar in Louisiana. My guide Sherman decides to pull out all the stops with a Mad Max style boat. Part outboard, part airboat, fitted with airport landing lights. This support boat, driven by his wife Melanie, illuminates our return trip to check the baited lines. Then, an unexpected hazard of the trip literally pops up.
Yes, that was the invasive species, the Asian jumping carp. Anything like boat motors trigger them, they stay near the top of the water at night and they'll fly in the boat. We may end up catching one.
Okay, we got one in. Whoop, there's another. These Asian jumping carp, these introduced fish, respond to any intrusion by a motor by leaping out of the water as fast as they can in the general direction of that sound, which is bad news if you're screaming through the swamps at 40 miles an hour and you suddenly have a fish that weighs 10 to 20 pounds flying at your head.
Approaching the big gar's location, we see that something might be on the line.
We have something big on that.
That's moving, isn't it?
Go that way, buddy. That way. You hear me? That way. Think he listens?
Off you go, my man. That is
That
moving.
way. You hear my boat running, I want you to go that way. You make a bit of just manhandle him right on over in. You can get him up and look at him. That is definitely a gar.
Let that go. Wow.
So that adds a little power to it.
That had some serious power.
Hey, stay right here. Stay right here. See how he stops? He knows what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll give him a few more minutes and try to tire him just a few more minutes. He's not going to go to the bank. We may have to rope him. But that big boat's going to scare him back.
Yeah,
See?
just turn around.
They're so sensitive to every little sound. They
really
know
are.
exactly where we are in the water and where they want to go.
Wow. That is a fish. That is a big animal. This is phenomenal. We've got just an enormous, enormous fish there. And these guys aren't even that impressed. Like, yeah, well, it's big, but it's not that big. It's huge by my standards. And it's just running that jug back and forth, trying to tire it out, get it towards the shore, and then we can have a proper look at it, get it in the boat. That is a beast.
We'll get it in a boat.
So we're gonna need an extra pair of hands to try and shepherd the fish in towards the bank. So Brad's gonna jump on in. Come on in, man. We can't pull too tight though, because we don't want it to rip out. You need to just coax him in. That's a big animal. That is a big animal. She's going the right way.
We continue to try and steer her towards the bank.
She's down there. She's gone towards the bank, so she's going the right way.
If we can get her back over here. No, right there.
Back up, back up, back up.
I'll just get in with her.
She's tired. She's ready to come in the boat.
Yeah, let's get her here and we can try to...
No, it's not.
Whoa.
Just stay right there. We're going to try to bring her right here.
Beautiful space.
That is incredible animal.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Wow.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Look.
And if something happens, she breaks loose, no big deal. We'll catch another one.
Look at that. She broke loose.
Broke loose.
That was huge. Any alligator gar that reaches 6 or 7 or 8 feet long has incredible survival skills. It's only reached that size by running the gauntlet of an enormous number of incredibly dangerous animals that could have eaten it at any point. That was incredible. What an animal when you saw it up close. So the very individuals that we are trying to catch are by far the hardest individuals out there in the swamp. Nope. It's not even really had a nibble. We've been checking all the jugs to see whether any of the gar have latched on. That's 2 or 3 now that had nothing, so we'll keep on going, see whether we can find something. Let's hope that we see one moving around with a big alligator gar on the other end. Let's head back.
But other gar remain elusive.
So we pulled the whole net in, and obviously no gar went running into that part of the swamp with 2 buffalo carp, but that was about it. But still, for the first night, I'd say we've had a serious success. That fish was huge that was on the jug.
Racing back to beat a looming thunderstorm, we're reminded to never let down our guard.
The more we speed up, the more dangerous it is with these jumping carp. I've had 2 miss my ear by a matter of inches. And we know this part is packed with them. There's one.
Tomorrow we'll travel to one of Brad's other secret spots for giant gar. It's a place full of surprises and hidden dangers.
This is a stump hole.
Another morning in central Louisiana, and we just missed catching a giant prehistoric fish, the alligator gar. Time to regroup.
Well, what she's done to this hook yesterday was incredible, because that's a tough old thing. I'd struggle to bend that with my fingers, but she's bent that right back.
Yeah, when she got up close to the boat like that, and she brushed that boat, that's when she opened that mouth and just all that force. And it didn't have her hooked well. It wasn't deep enough into the throat tissue where it needed to be, or in the jaw. So.
Because it's right on the bone. It's
yeah,
such
all
a
that
bony
is bone,
head.
just solid bone.
I was amazed how big she was. The size of her head, it was really reminiscent for me of pulling a crocodile into the boat. That's all I could think of was we've got it in the same way, we're playing it in the same way as we were playing the crocodile, and then here is an animal that looks like some kind of prehistoric reptile coming right to the surface there. I was just astonished.
Time to hit the river again to locate the elusive giant fish.
So we've loaded up and we're down at the waterside again to get out and try and catch a gar. We've got the fan boat that Brad will be riding, complete with a smashed bulb from one of those Asian jumping carp yesterday. It hit this, it was just an incredible explosion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The sound was insane. And we looked up and there was this carp shooting off in one direction, and this was bent right back and it smashed the bulb. And then Sherman and I are going to be riding this small boat again. We'll get out there, we'll lay some jugs out, and we'll see if we can hear any turning, maybe get a net around one, see what we can catch.
Moving along the shoreline, I spot another unique inhabitant.
This is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's a soft shell turtle. As you can see here, the shell is totally soft. You can see the rib cage all the way down there, extending to here. The reason this is particularly exciting to me is because it's a perfect example of what people call an intermediate species. So if you look at this, look how wobbly that is. And all the blood vessels go all the way to the side of the shell. This is essentially halfway between a lizard and a turtle. It's a perfect example of evolution in action. What an amazing, amazing animal. And the guys were joking that the only thing that's hard about the soft-shell turtle is its teeth and his attitude.
Those big alligator gar, they like to come in here, they spawn back in here. It'll run into an open basin we call Shinny Basin, and it's full of like young buffalo and carp, and they're bottom feeder fish, bait fish, and that's what they love to eat. The biggest here was 170 pounds, and I've seen bigger, so that's what we're at today. We're after the monsters. I mean, there's some in here that go over 200 pounds. I just saw a big one rise right over there.
Okay, well let's try and get the jugs out just right here and let them drift in. Hopefully we'll hear them coming up for air.
Yes, they should.
Two hooks ready, and then the rest is going to be like 4 and 5/0 hooks.
Apparently the gar really like to hunt around the base of these cypress trees, around the base of these stumps as well. That's where all the bait fish hang out, and that's what the gar are really after. And we're simply trying to give them the type of bait fish that doesn't run away, and hope that they'll fall for it.
Waiting on a gator gar.
That's your spot right there. You hear them exhaling and then they inhale again to refill their swim bladder, which is what keeps them at the right level of buoyancy.
It's not long before we start seeing jugs on the move.
So, whoa, look at that go, look at that go.
And something strong on the line.
Oh yeah, what is that?
Here it is. There we go.
He's really covered out.
Wow, now that is an amazing fish. But as far as alligator gar goes, this is not a big one by any means. We know that the big females reach, well, 10 feet, over 200, 300 pounds at the top. This is still incredible. And if we're able to have a look at those teeth, this is something else. I'm gonna lay it out here. Look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. Wow. Look at that. Look at those teeth. Look at those teeth. Now, gar like this actually survive incredibly well out of the water. They're able to breathe air for a short amount of time. So this isn't too bad for it. They have these wonderful, wonderful scales, which shaped like arrowheads. And traditionally, the Native American people who lived in these parts actually used them not only for jewelry and currency, but as weaponry. And then, as agriculturalists took over in this part of the world, the skin was seen as such a useful tool. It was actually used to line people's plows for ploughing furrows in the soil. It's incredibly tough, incredibly sharp, and readily available in the bayous and swamps of Louisiana. It's just a wonderful, wonderful beast. And this head is absolutely something else. Pretty good for fish number one. Let's let it back. There you go, my dear. Down into the depths. Little out breath. Down it goes. That's a pretty amazing start. I'm just staggered at its features, at its general appearance, at everything about it. It's this incredibly prehistoric, primordial looking monster of the swamp, still living today in the 21st century. Just absolutely remarkable, and a privilege to be able to see one. Great work, guys. Really great work. Great work. Right, let's go check this net.
With one less savvy juvenile caught, next we spot a huge gar rolling on the surface near our net.
I think she tore through. I really do.
Wow, is that the hole? We turned around as we saw the surface of the water start to boil, and then this absolutely monstrous beast came out of the water as we heard the net pop. But this net is designed to withhold an immense amount of strain, and we've just found a big hole down here that she has just ripped clean through. Absolutely beautiful.
What we do find in the net is this amazing paddlefish, as ancient as the alligator gar and reaching similar sizes.
Incredible, incredible beast. Superb. Don't go back in the net. Off you go. Wow, look at that. Go on, off you go. Off you go. Good on you. That's it, go in the right.
Finally, I check the jug lines, and something's been eating our bait. If it's one of the big gar, it's being very crafty indeed.
No, nothing. That was obviously a big one as well. Huh? That was a big one. It's a really big hook, so. Leave that where it is. Whoever it was, they robbed us, and now we're down a few traps.
What it is, the gar, us being in here, they know we're here, they're getting agitated. You can tell because they're in the middle of the bayou rolling now. And what it is, we either want to get out of here and leave them alone, or we can come back in the morning.
It's night by the time we haul up the net and we scour the water and shoreline in the fan boat for signs of big fish rolling or any other wildlife in the area. But we didn't count on submerged stumps and getting stuck on a sunken log. We tried jostling it loose.
This is a stump hole.
Just as we get free, we spot a nighttime visitor.
It's a type of heron.
It's a juvenile black-crowned night heron.
Striated. It's amazing that it's so dazzled by the light that we can walk right up to it like this. We're 2 meters away from it. And they'll come out at night only, really, and they'll sit here in the shallows and wait for all these little minnows to pass, and they'll just be picking them off one by one by one, and they'll have a feast for the whole evening. Big, big eyes, great for light gathering. So it obviously works in low light conditions like we have now at night. Just looking for any kind of movement on the surface and then pow.
It's been an impressive day out in Louisiana's wetlands.
That's got something on it. Oh yeah, that's heavy.
We're about to have face-to-face encounters with other monsters of the swamps.
It's bright and early in the morning. The sun is only just up. We've come back down to the river here in the bayous of Louisiana. Here, everything's quiet, everything is primordial, primeval and pristine in a way that you kind of imagine the United States used to be hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. We've been catching gar for the last few days, which by my standards have been huge. They've been enormous, but not by the standards of anyone else here. And something we've been noticing, when the water's been still enough, when the wind has got down, you see these huge gar rolling. They just break the surface, they come around, they roll over, they gulp air because they're filling their swim bladders. And you can see that they're huge. They're these enormous great things. But they seem to be according to the locals, according to Brad, according to Sherman, they're spotting us, they're watching for our patterns, and they're avoiding us on purpose. This is a top predator, and they live to 70, 80 or more years old. They must learn about their environments. They must learn what it takes to survive, what it takes to thrive in these environments. So I'm hoping to prove them right. I'm hoping that the traps we've set are going to prove all the local people right, that these rumors of enormous animals, these giant monster gars living here in the swamps of Louisiana, aren't just rumors. Bit of a stump.
On the way to check the baited lines, we spot a small island which I want to investigate.
Check this out, check this out. Yes! Look at that. That is one of the most amazing animals I've ever seen. Alligator snapping turtle. That is a dinosaur. Look at those claws. Such power. Ooh, he's having a look around to try and get me. You do not want to get your hand in there. So they're ambush predators, much like the alligator gar. They sit right here on the water's edge, just underneath the water. And they've got this little worm-shaped tongue, which acts as a lure for fish. If something goes past, bang, with incredible speed, they snap it.
And these turtles can exceed 100 kilos or 200 pounds in weight. More than a match for anything in these waters.
I find it pretty hard to contain my excitement at times like this. That's one of the things I've most wanted to see my entire life. And I'm tingling. That is wonderful. There you go, my man. Thank you very much. Oh, look at that. Look at him power away. That is fantastic.
We resume checking the jugs for signs of big gar.
That's got something on it.
Oh yeah,
That's heavy.
that is big.
That is heavy. That really is heavy.
Is it? No, no, no.
Or is that?
No, oh.
Maybe that was just snagged. That was whatever that was heavy. Yeah, snagged. Oh well. Fish 1, people 0.
If more jug lines show up empty, we'll definitely need more bait fish from this small net we set up earlier.
We've got absolutely loads of bait fish, which we need to replenish our supplies on the jugs to catch the gar. But most amazingly, we've also got this absolutely enormous paddlefish, which got stuck in the net there. We need to release this straight away. Huge, great thing. Amazing, amazing animal. Now, they are persecuted here. There you go. Off you go. They're persecuted here for their caviar, second only in quality to that of a sturgeon, apparently. Off you go. Down it goes.
We continue to check the remaining jug lines.
Again, the gar have been stealing the bait overnight, or the other fishes. This one moving?
Yeah, I think that was moving.
It could have been on for hours, so it might be quite tired by now, but let's see. Could have been on for seconds. We don't know. It's often quite hard to tell because the wind makes them move, but then if one seems to make a concerted effort to go in one direction, it tends to be a good indicator. I think this one is.
Yeah, that was moving.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yep, definitely. Definitely. Ooh, down it goes, down it goes.
This time, it looks like we do have a monster on the
Oh,
line.
that is heavy. Okay.
Yeah, she's getting tired, I think, so.
We're in Louisiana's bayous, chasing what could be a huge prehistoric fish on our line.
Wow. If it goes under, it's definitely a monster.
Yeah.
Look at it bubbling right there.
Oh, she's gone. Oh. That is, oh, that is heavy.
Just let her go. Let her go. Let her go.
There she goes.
All right, make a circle.
Which way?
Oh,
See if
back
we can
around.
get
She's
back
gone
around.
down again. She's gone under.
Just go back under. You don't want to
She's
grab
got
her.
Oh, there she goes. That's got to be a huge fish.
You got to put it around the jug.
I'll do that in a minute. We'll try and. Oh, she's gone. She'll be up in a bit. Oh, there
There she is.
Careful. Ease her on. Ease her on. Easy does it.
Yeah, she
You ready?
just let her go if she wants to go now.
No, she's okay. She's okay. No, there's not.
She went underneath the boat. She come up on this side, I think. Nope, she's in front of the boat.
Yes, she is.
She's going away from us.
We need to get her on. There she goes.
Whoa, that is heavy. Whoa, whoa. That felt really heavy, which is good. Starting to get excited about this.
We finally get control of the big gar.
Okay, take her in.
Right up there, it's shallow. We'll better work with her on the bank. Get her on the bank good.
This is enormous.
Huge.
She'll be basically in control with the
Yeah.
noose.
It's like a puppy dog on a string. It's kind of more like a pit bull.
Yeah,
Some
no,
weird looking puppy dog. Yeah, more like a 8-foot pit bull or something ridiculous.
We got to watch her and keep
Keep the noose on.
yeah, just
hold her. Okay, the noose is off, so we definitely don't want to.
we want to make sure she's pointed toward the bank at all times so she'll run.
Let's take her in. She is huge. There we go.
You lift her
Let's
head up.
lift her up.
Yeah, lift her head up, make her get on the bank.
Wow! Look at that. That is insane. What an animal. Feel the
Right.
power of that thing. What do you reckon? That's 6 feet long. It's as long as I am.
yes.
This is so bony. It's absolute solid bone there. Prehistoric in appearance from the top. Let's see the.
Yeah, the directions of the scales go this way. So if you were to try to shoot it with a bow, your arrow would hit and just you'd see actually sparks, because I've done this before. See sparks and the arrow just shoot 10 foot up in the air.
Wow.
You have to get behind where these scales, they open up back here. When a gar, he'll flare up and these scales will open up, so you never want to shoot. If you're going to bow fish for gar, you never want to try to take the gar coming dead at you. That's why you don't get a whole lot of chances to get a big fish like this, because they've got to be perfect, going away from you, a little angled, so you can get the penetration to get up in this, because this is armor.
It's essentially just an armoured animal. Yeah. Well, she's got something living inside her mouth. As ever, these poor things are parasitized up to the max. Wow, you can look at the intricacy on all of these interlocking plates on her, all these scales. That is just built for hunting. They're sit and wait predators. They sit in the shallows, waiting for something to come past them, and anything that gets near that mouth is just a goner. Look at all of the teeth, they're actually barbed. Wow.
While most fish would be gasping this long out of the water, the ancient gar have a unique ability to take in air and survive for long periods in low or oxygen-depleted water. They also take in air to fill their swim bladder. And while this gar might sound like she has something to say, she's releasing air from her flotation system.
We've been working at this for the last 3 days now. Of course, on day 1, we had the fish battle and fight for 20 minutes and then come off the line. So that's, wow, that's much bigger than I thought. That's 6'11", just under 7 feet, 6'11 and a half. So 2 meters, 12 centimeters. That's huge.
How wide she is.
Absolutely huge. It's a dinosaur living here in the swamps of Louisiana. So many of the features are reminiscent of an ichthyosaurus. Look at that skull from the top. You could imagine it being a dinosaur living in the swamps here hundreds of millions of years ago. And garfish are part of the ray-finned fish, which were a really early branch off in the evolution of fish. This is a very primitive species. That is 35 inches, 89 centimetres, so just under 3 feet, just over 2'11" around. 3, 2, 1. Awesome.
Yeah.
Allowing for some wobbling on my part,
Yep.
this fish comes in at 160 pounds, or 73 kilos. At 7 feet, or 2.1 meters long, this is a good-sized gar for the area. Time to let her go.
Yeah, you can let her point any way you want to. You got her. I mean, she's nothing.
This ancient fish is now a threatened species. Protection measures are being put in place in several states to limit commercial and sport fishing.
Better on these roots here. There you go. I came to Louisiana in search of monsters of the swamp, alligator snapping turtles and huge alligator gar. Now, each of these species has a fearsome reputation, some combination of both myth and reality. But when I looked a little deeper, what I discovered wasn't a swamp full of dangerous animals out to get you, but more a primeval habitat of prehistoric species, threatened by over-harvesting. And it's my conclusion that these monsters of the swamp, though they may be monsters, are really monsters in our own minds.
Here at the source of Africa's Nile River, amongst the reeds and swirling eddies, live monsters that are attacking and killing people virtually every week. Nile crocodiles, weighing up to a ton, prowl these waters looking for food. Usually that means fish, and any mammal that strays near the shore. But in a land where water is scarce, people must come to the river, and the man-eaters are waiting for them. I've come to the hot marshy region of central Uganda to join a team of rangers from the Uganda Wildlife Authority who are helping communities by moving man-eating crocodiles away from the villages and into the national parks.
The body of the victim, most of it is eaten, and you find they're having only the arm or the leg or the upper part without the lower part, and you find the community is grieved.
Crocodile this size, person is pretty much the ideal food source.
As a biologist, I travel the world through some of the toughest terrain, researching animals to better understand their behavior. Now, I'm on a mission to find the biggest and baddest creatures on the planet.
I'm Niall McCann, and I'm here in Uganda searching for the most feared man-eater in all of Africa, the Nile crocodile.
Officially listed as the second largest croc in the world, after Australia's salties, the Nile croc is no small contender. Regularly growing over 5 meters or 16 feet, the largest on record is well over 19 feet. But reports here and in Burundi speak of 7.5 meter crocs, perhaps 25 feet in length. What sets these crocs apart is their aggression. An apex predator, they're stealthy and watch the movement and behavior of their prey at watering holes.
In the recorded cases annually, about 60% are fatal. Because, crocodile attack leaves a very fatal injury or death.
Nile crocodile's ancestors roamed these waters 200 million years ago. Once endangered, Nile crocs today number in the hundreds of thousands across Africa. And for many living near the water, the spectre of giant man-eating crocodiles is all too real. Recently, a 1-ton animal was pulled from Uganda's Lake Victoria.
In parts of rural Africa, where running water has yet to be implemented, people are forced to collect their drinking water and to bathe their cows at the rivers and lakes near their homes. As a direct result of this, every single year, literally hundreds of people are eaten by the one animal that routinely hunts people for food, the Nile crocodile. Here in Uganda, any time a crocodile attack is reported, a team of wildlife officers are sent to remove the problem crocodile and release it in a national park, miles and miles away from the nearest human habitation. And I've come here to join this team, to catch and to relocate the most feared predator in all of Africa, the man-eating crocodiles of the Nile.
My journey begins in the cool, fertile, mountainous regions of Uganda, whose waters trickle down from crater lakes or snow-capped peaks to feed the flatlands below. I'm heading northeast towards the hot interior, where the lakes and wetlands give birth to Africa's greatest river, the Nile. Infamous as one of the world's most malarial regions, it's also one of the best places to find enormous crocodiles.
So I've come down from the lush tropical forests of southwestern Uganda into the hot, dry centre of the country via what must be one of the dustiest roads in all of Africa. And I finally arrived at the greatest source of life in the entire continent, the River Nile, which flows all the way from Lake Victoria to the south to the Mediterranean over 2,000 miles north of here.
It's a hot drive along endless dusty roads to the densely populated towns of the Lake Choga region.
I'm in the town of Apache, which is quite a bustling metropolis actually. There's mobile phone masts everywhere and people wearing suits and shirts and that type of thing. But if you go literally 200 meters either side of this bit of paved road, you're out into really, really rural Uganda, where people are living in round mud huts with straw roofs. And this part of the world, rural central Uganda, has pretty much the highest birth rate anywhere on Earth. And all of those people need water. Those mud huts do not have running water. They don't even have electricity. They have basically nothing but the most basic provisions. So in order to get their water, they're going down to the rivers. And what's waiting for them in the rivers is, again, one of the highest populations of crocodiles anywhere on Earth. And that is creating a really serious issue where literally hundreds of people are being eaten by crocodiles every single year.
There have been 2 recent crocodile attacks on humans here in the last year, and both the crocs remain at large. First, we're investigating an incident involving a young girl, and we're collecting the clues that will allow us to track down the killer croc and remove it from the area. I traveled to meet the young girl's family and discovered that 2 cows were also recently taken by crocs.
Well, very pleased to meet you, and thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us. It's incredibly good of you, and lovely to meet you too, madam.
I'm joined by Uganda Wildlife Authority Ranger Caesar and Samson, a local croc trapper.
Female, they're laying eggs on the ground.
Yeah. So you've set the traps just near there?
Yeah. Sometimes during daytime, like this time, they are watering their cows. So that's when crocodiles comes and grabs the animals.
So we have to go down at the time?
We have to go down where cows are watering.
So there's just been these attacks in the last couple of days, and the team, Caesar and Samson and the team, have been called in specifically by these local communities, have said they've got a crocodile is taking cattle. So they come with a load of nooses that they use, and they bait the nooses, and the crocodiles hopefully go for the bait and then are caught in the noose.
But there was one person we hadn't heard from, the one closest to the attacking crocodile.
This child survived a crocodile attack. Hello, nice to meet you.
She was sent to bring some cows just here to water. Now, when
Caesar explains that Penina, the young girl, came down to the river to water her calves, as she does every day. Small, shallow channels cut through the papyrus grass and make for easy access to the water's edge. This convenient watering hole, however, hides hidden dangers. The croc just missed Penina, but devoured her calf. Just around the river bend from the calf attack is the site where Samson set the snare, close to a crocodile nest.
So we've just found the crocodile nest. Was this very, very recently?
So recent. So this egg have been eaten. Can either be by white-tailed mongoose.
But mongoose often predate.
Yeah, of these mongoose, around mongoose, those of mongoose.
But she would probably have 60 or 70 eggs in there, presumably.
Around 60 to 70 eggs.
Yeah. There we are. So yet another egg that's been... Oh, this was really... Goodness me, it's been done really freshly. They've just gone in and eaten the fetus or the yolk or whatever was left. All that's left is a tiny little bit of albumin, which the ants are doing a good job of. A huge proportion of crocodile nests are lost to predation. Now, we know that the female crocodile was near here very recently because Samson's just set his traps. So no sooner did we arrive than we had a proper scan around because there's very little as fierce as a female crocodile defending a nest.
We go into the croc-infested marsh to check for anything in the snare.
So they've got the noose.
The bait is gone, but no crocodile.
So she's eaten the prey.
Yeah, it does eat
Eaten the bait. Oh goodness, yeah. Well, she's definitely here. So she's taken the bait, smashed the wire a bit. We have a look at the snare. See little dents in it throughout. Goodness me. And this was only set a few hours ago. Yeah, now's a good idea to get out because not only are we very near just a crocodile's territory, but we're incredibly near a nest. And there's loads of hippo tracks. As if crocodiles weren't enough. Nothing on it. We'll rebait the trap, put it back in the water there. And we know it likes this spot.
The UWA team resets the snare, and tomorrow we'll investigate a second recent cattle attack and a tragic human-croc encounter. Man-eating Nile crocodiles are on the loose in Uganda's Lake Choga region.
So this is where the crocodile was yesterday?
Yeah, the crocodile was here yesterday.
I'm visiting a second location, near the town of Apache, where there have been vicious crocodile attacks on cattle and
You
people.
can see they've been feeding their cattle here.
I'm joined by Uganda Wildlife Authority's croc expert, Peter Ogwang, and his team, to remove at least 2 of these problem crocs and relocate them.
Now, we have the ropes and we have the snares. Are we going to set a series along the bank, or where would you best want to set them?
Peter and his team are seen as heroes, come to stop the monster. Today, nearly the whole village has shown up to present us with a list of names of attack victims, including this community leader's son, who was killed by a croc.
Here we have list of people who were attacked. Those who survived and those who died.
So 5 survivors.
These are the survivors.
My child.
That's your son.
I'm
so sorry.
Called Okao.
They were 3.
And was this recently? When did this happen?
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
Terribly sorry.
So these are people who were attacked at this point.
Just at this point.
Just this point.
The chairman asked me, who lost his son last year, was one of the children that was killed, asked me earlier, what are you going to do to help? And I said, well, we're here with the UWA, specifically trying to target problem crocodiles, because like with many animals that prey on people, it's often actually just a small proportion of the population that start to target people as food. Crocodiles are one of the only species of animal anywhere on the earth that actually looks at people specifically as food. So if we're able to remove those individuals that are causing the majority of the attacks and relocate those to Murchison, then hopefully the frequency of attacks will drop hugely and we won't see the types of tragedies that this village has been seeing for the last 3 years.
Then we meet Jacqueline, a young woman who barely escaped alive from a croc's jaws.
When she came, she entered in water to fetch water, but before she filled the jerrycan, the crocodile grabbed her and pulled her underwater. Then the jerrycan remained floating. The crocodile left her underwater, came and grabbed the jerrycan, went with the jerrycan. After realizing that that was not a human being, it left the jerrycan there and came back.
By which time she'd escaped.
Looking for her, but that time she was already pulled out of water.
That's insane.
So the crocodile missed her. From that time, she has never come back to fetch water from this place.
Permanent damage to her arm is only one of the injuries she sustained. The crocodile had her legs and torso fully in its mouth, with devastating results.
She's saying now she cannot do anything.
Poor girl, immensely brave. She suffered a horrific attack which has really impacted her ability to work. As she was saying, most of the people do really rather heavy labour here, and it's quite difficult to find an alternative source of income unless you can get into tailoring or something else. But the problem remains. Crocodiles are still here in large numbers. People are having to go to the water to fetch water every single day, and they're feeding their cows twice a day. The best solution, it seems, is to create some form of partition device like a crocodile cage to stop these attacks from happening.
The villagers want this huge crocodile removed from their area before it kills again, and the town chairman is giving instructions on some of the best spots to look for it.
I want them first to go and survey somewhere behind here, because
so what they're saying is that this crocodile has some pretty known tactics that it always sticks to. So it comes in on this side and then makes its way over to that point there and then sneaks through the reeds where it can't be seen until it finally mounts its attacks in this bit of clear water right here.
Next, we're going to set baited snares in several key locations where the croc is hunting.
Do you always use lung? Is that the thing the crocodiles like best?
This is self-locking wire snare. It is self-locking in such a way that when it moves, it cannot come back.
The fleet of old croc capture dugouts is launched.
One poor bugger who just drew the short straw is now walking into the papyrus with a rope, and he's going to tie the rope around a big bunch of papyrus, and that will act as an anchor. We're then going to have the bait out in this little channel just behind us. Don't really fancy swapping places with him, but it would be quite exciting. We're in the tippiest, leakiest boat in all of Africa. There's literally a fountain of water coming up. We are slowly but surely filling with water. But it'll be fine. Crocodiles are creatures of habit, and if something is odd in their environment, they're unlikely to go towards it. This is why it's so difficult to trap crocodiles unless you really disguise the traps as something natural. So in this instance, they're disguising the floater by wrapping it in more of that cow's lung material. So the crocodile's much more likely to take the bait.
This is just the first of the traps. Getting in and out of these croc-infested papyrus islands definitely keeps the heart racing.
So let's hope as soon as we clear out, croc goes in. So they say this guy is big, and it's obviously been picking off people and animals at a terrible rate. It'd be great to be able to catch it and take it away. Put it somewhere where it can't cause any harm.
That's my worry.
This is where the croc sometimes takes its kills. Brings them under here, under this rock. Crocodiles are well known for stashing food out of the way so they can then return to it. But they're able to eat literally hundreds of kilos worth of food essentially at one time. They can eat about half their own body weight, which is a ridiculous thought. So if a crocodile would weigh a ton, That means it could essentially put away a 500-kilo cow in a single sitting.
Crossing the Nile River in these leaky dugouts is in itself a sketchy prospect. Now add the fact that giant crocs could be waiting inside any of these floating reed mats. It's enough to keep everyone on edge.
Now we're going to find a decent place to sit, the third snare. Did you say there was a better place behind the papyrus, Peter?
So these crocodiles burst behind the papyrus there. Yeah, we are going to set the snare here where it comes out from. So that when it comes out, it will feel the smell of the bait, the meat, and will eat and will be trapped. The chance of catching it is very, very high. Possibly you can even get 2.
We're here for a week. Let's hope in that week we can catch this marauding crocodile.
With multiple traps set for the 2 man-eaters, we're going to leave them overnight and see if one of the dangerous crocodiles shows up in a snare by morning.
So we've come upriver to check on the snares that were put out by Samson. So we've got one of the snares here, but it's not been touched. It's just there. So we can see the rope, but we can't see the bait. I'm just going to paddle over, give it a little tug, see whether something pulls at the other end.
The bait's gone, but no croc. The trap is reset and tied down. We've come back to the village side of the river to check up on the croc from the first day, the one that killed the girl's calf.
So we've come into land, and now we're just going to have to walk along the bank for 200 or 300 meters to where the snare is set somewhere down there, then wade out into the papyrus and hope that there's a crocodile at the end of the rope. So we've come back down to this papyrus pool, and there's the crocodile.
The marauding female has been trapped, but securing her proves to be more than a handful. This croc is furious and ready to take on all comers. I'm in central Uganda, capturing man-eating crocodiles, then transporting them to a park far away from people. Once again, the village has assembled to see the monster that has been attacking and eating their cattle and any human near the water. The female, whose nest was destroyed by mongoose, is still defending her territory, and she's not going easily. We have to keep an eye out, not only for her jaws, but for her formidable slashing tail.
That's under.
We have to get her bound up and under control.
We go to do further? Okay. She's pretty tired already, so we've managed to get her out pretty well. As soon as we get her fully tied up, then we'll get that snare off. Just on eyeballing her, she looks to be about 3 meters, so 10, maybe 11 feet, which is big size. And if you look at the statistics of crocodile fatal attacks in Africa, the majority are actually carried out by crocodiles that are 10 or 11 feet in size. So when you have real monsters, 5-meter crocodiles that weigh nearly a ton, humans not even a snack, they want a cow, whereas crocodile this size, person is pretty much the ideal food source. Okay, there you go, Samson. So straight down the center.
We need to get an exact length measurement.
All the way down the center, follow the spine line. I'll come down. So 3 meters 32 feet, 1 inch off 11 feet, 3 meters 32.
Then I notice Penina, the croc attack victim, whose calf perished instead of her.
Peter, could you ask how she feels about seeing the crocodile now? Because she nearly lost her life to one a few weeks ago.
She's scared.
She feels scared.
She feels scared.
Well, should we get her down to touch it? Because it's totally safe now. And then just touch it. See? Look at that. Look at that, fantastic. This is pretty amazing because only a few days ago she nearly lost her life to a crocodile. And this one would be predating up and down this little stretch of river. So it's quite possible that this is the very individual that, well, that took the cow away from her and nearly killed her. And her whole family is there. And her mother come down to touch the crocodile. There we go. We've got the boat coming in now.
Time to get the croc out of here. Going through this croc-infested floating reed swamp just seems nuts, but it's the only way to get the captured female into the waiting canoe. Then our cameraman Tim falls through the floating reeds. He's up to his neck in the croc-infested Nile River.
Guys, help! Help! Yep. We'll go back. You good?
Yeah.
I just need. Yes.
You steady?
Have.
This is proved rather awkward. So this is all just floating weeds, and if I stay here for any more than about 30 seconds, start to sink. Hence I just had to rescue the camera. The croc's there. We kept its head up the whole way because the last thing you want is for water to go into its mouth. Because at this stage it can't really regulate what's going on with its gullet and regulating what gets into its stomach and what gets into its lungs. And crocodiles have previously drowned when being caught underwater in a capture situation. So that was my priority here, was making sure that the whole time the crocodile's head was up and out of water, that it can breathe and there's no chance of her getting water into her lungs. And now she's there. Are you guys okay, or do you need a hand?
No, we're okay.
You okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now all that's left is to get myself onto that waiting canoe, full of people, next to an angry croc. But the Nile River has other plans for me. During a croc relocation on Uganda's Nile River, I'm nearly fully submerged. Now it's vital to get the croc to shore.
Put it in the middle of the boat.
Lift.
Okay.
And now just getting her steady so her head's up and that no part is constricted.
When you reach, you wait for us to arrive and then you land.
Back near the ferry landing, a huge crowd has gathered to witness the 350-kilogram, 750-pound monster coming in. Clearly, every man-eater brought in alive has turned Peter Ogwang and the UWA team into hometown heroes who take it in their stride. In the end, of course, both the crocodiles and the people benefit.
Give her a minute. Yeah, I got it. You got it?
Bye.
Okay. Okay, put her head up. Okay, so we've got her in the truck and we've got her head up at the front. I'm just going to retie the back legs so that she's secure. Another thing we want to ensure is that her tail doesn't bend too much, because you can cut off the circulation and that could cause some real problems, obviously. But they seem pretty jubilant, they seem pretty happy, because of course, as I've mentioned, every single one of these people's lives are affected by crocodiles on a daily basis. So we've just given her a bit of a bath to cool her down.
And she'll need to stay cool for the rough drive ahead. journey to Murchison Falls National Park takes about 2.5 hours over some very challenging roads. If the potholes don't get you, the other drivers might. Murchison Falls National Park in northwest Uganda is the country's largest preserve and was a subject of intense fighting during a 1990s civil war. Now wildlife, just recovering here, are facing the prospect of oil development in and around the park, a possible threat to the animal's future. For now, wild locations like this lagoon on the Nile River, teeming with life, are an ideal location for the release of our female crocodile.
So, we've arrived at Murchison, only a few hours after catching her. There's dozens and dozens of hippos waiting and watching in the wings. Now we have to carry her off, put her down, and then just allow her to go on her own way. And this is going to be home. I can think of many worse places to live for anyone, let alone a crocodile. The fact that there's this many hippos, this many egrets around, means it must just be teeming with fish, teeming with fish. And that's what we want.
You leave that rope. Okay, now I'm going to count 3 and 1, 2, 3, go! Come on, come this side, come this side.
This is the amazing moment when it'll take her a little while to realize that she's free again. And of course she's got to get back some energy. We caught her probably about 4.5 hours ago. We've traveled 100 kilometers in the afternoon to get her here to what is going to be a pretty magnificent place to live. And the story will have a happy ending. There she goes, there she goes. Fantastic. Fantastic. Great work, man. Great work, guys. Great work, Caesar. Brilliant. And what an amazing ending. There she goes, bang, and she is gone. This is an incredible thing that they're doing here in Uganda. They are allowing these crocodiles to go and live their life somewhere as magnificent as this, as opposed to killing them. It's such a brilliant attitude to take to your predators. You don't get much more serious a predator than that. So she's actually penned in by 2 sets of massive waterfalls, one several miles that way and one several miles that way. So there's no way that she can actually go either up or downstream back to where communities are.
You know, many people could not believe that a man-eater crocodile can be captured and released alive. But many times we have done, and people have seen it, and people have appreciated it. It's very interesting. We do this because we want to save lives of the communities and lives of the crocodile. We must balance both. So when the crocodile is causing havoc in the community, we have to capture it and bring it back to the protected area where they are supposed to be.
Back at the village, we've been told that the bait set for the second croc seems to have been taken, and we rush back to check the snare.
So we're back down at the jetty because we got ourselves a crocodile. It's on the north bank, which means it's going to be in the reeds. So we're going to have to drive the boat up to where it is, secure it next to the boat, and then pull it to the other side, which is where the land is. And that's where the fun will start. You might remember that we found a trap the other day which had the bait taken by a monitor lizard. We reset it, and then Caesar and Samson moved it just a few meters yesterday, and that's the trap that's caught it, the one that we reset. So we're coming up now.
When we get to the trap, we discover a creature much, much bigger than any of us expected. Moving this monster will be extremely dangerous.
Now we've got it. So we just need to untie the other rope and then drag it all the way.
I've been here in central Uganda a week, and we've already caught and relocated one man-eating Nile crocodile. And now we have another on the line, and locals tell me it seems much bigger than the first.
It's massive. It's its mouth is shut, it won't open its mouth, so we're going to get a rope underneath its chest and then pull it in. You've seen the size of that thing's head. This thing is huge.
It's opening this.
Nice. Now we've got it. So we just need to untie the other rope and then drag it all the way. No! There it is, there it is. Okay, go. So we got it now. There's no risk of the ropes getting in the propeller. Osman and I have it here. This thing is huge. I'm going to estimate 4.5 meters at least. 4.5. Massive head.
The gargantuan croc has to be dragged to the opposite shore of the Nile, where it can be moved to the truck for transport.
There, fish has got.
Let him not go to the propeller. Okay, I got it. Okay, I got it. Just get everyone back, Peter.
Yeah.
Peter, just get everyone back.
Just push the boat.
The 800-kilogram, 1,700-pound reptile seems tired from its struggle, but crocs regain their strength quickly.
We got him out of the water. This thing is enormous. It's got about 15 people on the rope.
We are going to pull. Huh?
Extra ropes are attached, but the jaws can still open, and with a burst of energy, the croc could send us flying and slice through this group like butter.
Pull.
It's just massive. Utterly massive. That's where the power comes from there.
The small ropes holding him are not doing much at this point, so we have to pin him down and properly bind and secure him.
Now we're tying it up, getting the legs tied. Mouth's already under control. These guys have got it on both sides.
Now to see just how big he is.
Is the tail straight?
1, 2, 3.
15.3, 4.6 meters, 15.3 feet. Bloody huge. 15.3. Now we've added a bit there because you can see it's missing the last approximately 20 centimeters of its tail.
4.6. That's great.
So it was 4.42 right to the tip of where it's got, but in some battle with some other male or female somewhere along the line of this gargantuan beast's incredibly long life, it's lost the tip of its tail. And to be honest, it's amazing it hasn't lost more. These things are constantly at war with each other. Look at that big wound there by my finger. If you look at crocodile teeth, they're not designed to cut, they're designed to puncture and stay in. They're blunt, they're round. When those things go in, they are sticking. Nothing's coming out of that unless it lets go. I'll get in with Peter.
Lifting a beast weighing close to a ton will take some manpower. It takes more than 20 people to load the beast into the truck, which is sagging under its weight. The tail does not fit and must be curved in, not ideal for the health of the croc. The trip to Murchison is hours away, and this giant must be constantly moved to avoid circulation problems and possible death.
We're gonna need a bigger truck.
I'm in central Uganda, transporting a giant man-eating crocodile back to the national park.
Enormous. That's an incredibly long crocodile. But what I'm amazed about in this one is its mass, its girth. Osman reckons at least 800 kilos. That's truly, truly enormous. Nothing can survive this. Like anything, even a buffalo, is potentially prey to an animal of this size. Just insane. Sensational.
Pausing in town, Peter and the UWA give the Apache community members a chance to see another monster croc that was stalking their people, now wrapped up and ready to be shipped away. The father of Penina, the young girl whose calf was snatched by a croc, comes by to show his respect to Peter and the team.
UWA is sensitizing the communities on the behaviors of crocodiles and how they can avoid being attacked. That is by not standing in water or going to fetch water after darkness, and to avoid also fishing in fish breeding areas. Most of the attack on fishermen are when they are fishing in a breeding area, and that's where crocodile also goes to get easy catch. So when it fails to get fish and it sees a human being around, it thinks it's the human being who is finishing its food. So the only thing is to attack that one and eat, because he's not getting anything.
The UWA have also installed cages in key attack areas of the country, so people can safely collect water without fear of attack.
Making a bit of a splash in this community, it appears.
The benefit of this work is the UWA are celebrated and seen as a solution to the croc problem, which in turn has often made people more aware and more likely to report attacks by predatory crocs.
A crocodile of this size has incredible power and could easily break a leg just with the strength of its tail. The rest of the main power is around its head, and if it gets hold of you, it's going to smash you to pieces even though you're on land. The vital thing to do is to control its head. Tie its jaws together so it cannot bite. It's then just a game of numbers. You get as many people on its back as you can to restrain it. This is where it's going to get quite interesting, because as you've seen, the crocodile's been wriggling quite a bit on the journey.
We are going to get down on the croc. He's going to tip it, like a little bit of it, then we control this part of it as we put him down.
Samson has the head.
Samson has the rope.
Yeah, good man.
All right.
So we're going to tip the trailer a little bit just to make it slightly easier, but then we just have to be really careful to make sure that it doesn't bang its head when it comes down, and to be gentle on it as we possibly can be. Keep it coming. Head's moving. Get your arms under there. Let the tail touch down. Okay.
Robert,
okay,
go
you
ahead.
can drive forwards. Yeah, I have it. Yeah. Okay.
Go!
Go. Okay.
Press him down.
We're going to turn him round. Watch out for the tail.
Remove those and put them back on the water. this side.
Yep.
This side. 1, 2, 3, go!
Okay. Move forwards. Down. Yeah. Here he goes, here he goes. Yes, yes, well done. Down he goes. Fantastic. Brilliant, off he goes. This is your new home, my man. There he goes, look at that. Look at the power of that.
Finally, the big croc slips into his new home, far away from the communities he was plaguing.
That went very well. Well done there, guys. Can you imagine people having the same kind of jubilant response if it had been killed? No. This is what happens when you actually deal with animals in a sensible way and you keep them alive and you release them. You end up with utter jubilation as opposed to simply the sad sight of yet another animal killed. This is conservation in action. Well done, Uganda, and well done, the Ugandan Wildlife Authority. Well done, my man. Well done, my man. Well done, guys.
Today, we have done a wonderful job because we have got the biggest and the baddest crocodile in the village of Ibuje.
It's been an absolute dream come true to work with Nile crocodiles. The 4.6 metre crocodile was the 10th crocodile that I have ever caught, made all the better by the fact that we released it again into the wild.
It's a fact of life that we share the world with other animals, some of which can eat us. And as long as people continue to collect water from rivers and lakes inhabited by crocodiles, crocodiles will continue to hunt us for food. And in most cases, those crocodiles in turn will be hunted and killed in retribution. But here in Uganda, they do things a little differently. And for me, the enormous thrill of catching huge crocodiles was completely surpassed by the buzz, the elation of releasing them again into the wild, where they belong. This is real conservation, providing a life-saving service for the communities without actually harming the crocodiles at all, because they have just as much a right to life as we do.